We've got Rick Rennell joining us now. Of course, Rick, who served in the Trump cabinet. He's also served in political campaigns. And so, Rick, I guess just right off the bat, I want to get your thoughts on the first night of the Democrat National Convention. Joe Biden, who gave a very late speech that I think most people had probably already shut off their TVs for, even if they were kind of interested to see what he had to say about being moved out of the presidency or walking the party line, which he ultimately did. But I just want your reaction to that first night of the DNC, because I think it's kind of a preview of how it's going to escalate each night.
Look, it was right out of the gate. It was far left woke. I mean, they even had the governor of Kentucky, who's supposed to be a moderate, completely going crazy left woke. I think what the reality is even when conservatives or moderates get in front of this Democrat crowd, the mob, far left, radical communist fascists in that room completely overtake people. They can't speak truth to power. Politicians like Governor Beshear showed up and immediately knelt to the far left. And this is what's scary to me, is that when you look at, tampons in boys' bathrooms and the inability to say that a woman is a woman, and then trying to cut red meat because it's bad for climate change and the open border. I mean, you just look at the Democratic Party of today, and it's scary. It doesn't have any common sense, and it's chasing the moderates right out of the party. Independents are abandoning this party, and it's on full display all week in Chicago.
I want to play this bite from Biden. And, this is, again, there's a misstatement. He didn't catch himself, though. And it kind of is the truth.
That's right. Yeah. So President Biden last night, Rick, he showed up later than probably he was expecting or hoping for. But what we saw was, when this campaign has been pushing that they're bringing back joy, we saw a night full of yelling and a lot of angry faces at the DNC last night. But President Biden, giving his kind of farewell to the party speech, made this misstatement, but I want to get your take on it, because did he accidentally tell the truth? Maybe one of the first truths at the DNC last night. Let's play bite 3.
When Donald Trump left office, and unlike Trump, we will not demonize immigrants, saying they're the poison of blood of America, poison the blood of our country. Kamala and I are committed to strengthening legal immigration, including protecting dreamers and more.
Again, this idea that they're going to strengthen the immigration laws, Rick, it's a lot of gaslighting in that speech, too, because the actions haven't been done, whether you support liberal policies on the immigration or not. The only actions they've taken are actions that have made America less safe on the southern border, so more drugs flow in and more bad actors come in the country.
Look, I'm not sure that he is making a mistake there, because I live in California, and the entire state is a sanctuary state, a really nice name for a terrible idea, which is you get to break immigration law and be protected against punishment and enforcement of breaking that law in a city or a state. So throughout California, you can ignore federal law when it comes to immigration and not be punished, because we are a sanctuary to being punished. And it's really an outrageous concept that I think too many conservatives have allowed to continue. But remember, you have a party in California that Kamala has been the head of that wants health care and driver's license to illegals. They want to move to allow illegals to vote. This is a system that is not going to work in the Midwest. As soon as people find out exactly what Kamala Harris wants, what the far left woke San Francisco radicals want, they're going to run from this. And Joe Biden, I think, slipped up. But I'm not sure that it was a mistake as much as it was in his head. This is what he believes, which is we're going to normalize being illegal in America.
Yeah, I'm going to go to Bobby in New York on line 6. Take that call while Rick is on the air with us. Hey, Bobby, welcome to Secular. You're on the air.
Hi, from Niagara Falls on the American side, and I just made a small contribution of $25, which I do occasionally. My question is that I'm very worried that these guys are so good at propaganda and they're so convincing that I'm worried that it's going to harm the Trump campaign in a major way, in the sense it's going to put Trump way behind. What do you guys think? And thanks for everything.
Rick, I don't think that anybody's ever going to be way behind. I think Joe Biden had hit probably the max of how far he'd be behind. It was still within striking distance. It was just getting a little bit out of hand for the Biden campaign and Democrats, so they thought they needed to switch to someone else and kind of restart this campaign with Harris. What we do know is it's going to be a very close election. Both sides are well-funded. That Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and his entire campaign have had to retool, just like the DNC is retooling as well, but retool their statements, retool their attacks, because they are dealing against a very different top-of-the-ticket nominee.
Look, I think there's no question that the Democrats have the media in their pocket, and they're going to continue pushing lies, pretending like somehow the border is closed, that we don't have wars, and that inflation is not a problem. Last night, the word inflation was only mentioned 3 times throughout the entire evening. So they don't want to talk about those issues, and so they're going to spin this. But I think it's going to take a whole bunch of money to convince the American people and convince independents that somehow gas prices are not high, that grocery prices are not high, that we don't have wars. I mean, they have to literally suspend reality in order to get what they want. And I think that's going to be too expensive. The American people see it, independents see it, and I think that they're going to be in a really terrible position to try to spin their way out of it.
Rick, I wanted to follow up on that, actually, because according to some analysis, inflation was only mentioned about 3 times last night. And when Kamala Harris decided to make her very first policy speech on Friday, which was panned by CNN and the Washington Post as terrible idea on price controls that she wants to put in place on to help combat inflation because the greedy grocery store chains are out of control. But when you almost thought that was going to be kind of the lead-off theme of the DNC when she was able to captivate the media cycle starting on Friday going into this convention, and instead it was mostly about abortion last night, and it seems that may be the continuing theme throughout the rest of the week. But what was your take on that? She gives this huge policy speech about this is where we're going, and then it's almost completely ignored on the first night of the convention.
Well, I don't think that they have much to talk about when it comes to job creation or how to combat inflation. I mean, Kamala is left to try to say on day one, I'm going to do something about how high prices are and how terrible the economy is. Except she was part of making the decision. We were told that she was the last one that Joe Biden would talk to before he would make these decisions. And she broke the tie in the Senate. She broke it in favor of spending massively, government spending, which creates inflation. And so she's got a very difficult time to run away as the vice president from these policies, but yet she's trying to spin her way out with a lot of help from the media. And again, I go back to they're going to have to spend a whole bunch of money to try to tell us that things are okay and that somehow Kamala is equipped to make them better.
Rick, we'll go back to you throughout the week, especially as we lead up to the Harris speech to the nation, which I think is the most important part about these conventions, is getting to know the person running for president, especially when on one side you have someone who is not the incumbent president of the United States. She's been a vice president. Her speeches have not gone great. A lot of word salad, a lot of confusing statements, a lot of contradicting views that they will put out even on that economic message. So we'll definitely want to come back to you, Rick, and we appreciate you being part of our team.